Today we will discuss another perspective and it's called psychodynamic perspective. We will talk about two proponents here. We have Sigmund Freud and Erik Erikson's psychoanalytic development. What is psychodynamic perspective? So, the founding father of this perspective or this psychoanalytic theory is Sigmund Freud, who talks about how unconscious and conscious shape your personality through your childhood experiences. A little bit background of him will also be discussed through his topographical model, which is the ego and superego. This is Sigmund Freud, who effortlessly uncover the hidden nature of the self. So when we say uncover the hidden nature, ganito pala ako nung bata ko. Kaya pala ganito ako nung pagtanda ko. So that is uncovering yourself through your childhood experiences. So let's go back to the topographical model. We have the conscious and the unconscious. So if it is unconscious, it is ruled by the pleasure principle, our wants, yung mga survival skill set natin like hunger, thirst, our different pleasures, okay? And then for the conscious self, ito po yung what is in the reality, what is our rationalized thought about what is happening right now. Some says, kaya hindi natin matanggap yung personality natin kasi we try to push those memories through the deeper part of our unconscious self. Kaya nga minsan, when we talk to someone, tapos naaapektuhan ka, those memories arises to your conscious na, oo, naalala ko, ganito rin pala ako nung bata ako. Okay? Now, let's move to the structural model, the id, ego, and superego. So for the id, it is located on the unconscious level, and then the superego and the ego has its places in the conscious part of the self. So we all know that the meditator in this structural model is the ego. So for example, you have an online class and then sabi ni Id, you have to eat now kasi gutom ka na. For super ego, ang sasabihin niya, no, you must respect your teacher, wag ka munang kumain. Okay? And then, the ego will weigh things if which is which. Okay? Will I go for the id or will I go for the super ego's thinking? Okay. So, a great example lang, I may share to you the picture of the Dolomite sand in the Manila Bay. So, the id, ito talaga yung itsura ng Manila Bay. So, ito talaga yung ikaw. Ito talaga ako. Okay? And then the super ego is the super one who valued the rules and regulations of the society. Ito yung gusto mong ipakita na decent, presentable, and so on and so forth. Well, the ego will judge, okay? So, who compromises? Who has the bigger opinion, the id or the superego? Who is on the right side, the wrong one or the right one? So, there you go. The picture of the Manila Bay today. Our main topic for psychodynamic perspective is Freud's psychodynamic stages in line with Erik Erikson's developmental stages. So we will discuss this one dire-diretso, okay? So continuously with Freud's and Erik Erikson's developmental stages. Let's start first with the stage 1, which is the oral stage, infancy, age 0 to 1. So obviously, the erogenous zone is the mouth. In here, the pleasure principle is located in the mouth. Okay, so when kapag umiiyak yung baby, ang kaagad natin binibigyan ng bottle yung baby or anything that will satisfy his or her pleasure. Kaya nga lagi nilang kinakain yung mga toys nila because that is their pleasure point, okay? The primary conflict of this stage is the weaning process. So what is this weaning process? Dito papasok yung baby na hindi na siya magbe-breastfeed or hindi na siya magba-bottle feed. So, kung 0 to 1, more dependent siya sa caretaker niya. Dapat, unti-unti na siya naging less dependent. So, if fixation occurs at this stage, Freud believed that the individual would have issues with dependency or aggression. What do we mean by this one? If ever na hindi maayos yung weaning process niya, like for example, ayaw niyang tumigil mag-bottle feed or hindi pa rin siya tumitigil magdede sa bote with the nipples or nagbe-breastfeed pa rin siya sa mother niya at beyond 0 to 1. So it will be fixated in terms of dependency with the caregivers, aggression, and in terms of adulthood or adolescent stages, magkakaroon siya ng problem in terms of alcohol, drinking, eating, medyo picky eater, smoking, or nail biting. So these are all according to Freud's theory. For Erik Erikson, we will have trust versus mistrust, and the virtue is hope. So the major question in this stage or the major conflict of this stage is, can I trust the people around me? Of course, there is this called stranger danger pag sa mga bata, lalo na sa 0 to 1 that they always depend on sa caregiver. Ang kilala lang ng mga babies ay yung mother nila. So the important event here is feeding. Kaya nga sometimes, no, may mga babies na breastfeeding yung pag-feed sa kanila and kapag wala na yung mother nila, nagsasubstitute sila ng bottle which is minsan nag-hunger strike sila, ayaw nilang mag-feed through bottle feeding. Kaya minsan ini-incorporate na someone in the household ay mag-feed dun sa baby para magkaroon siya ng trust development dun sa mga other people na nasa bahay. Okay? So for trust, believing in caregivers, trusting the world that, okay naman, safe naman kahit wala si mama or si papa. Knowing that the needs will be met. So kapag umiyak ako, alam agad nila na bibigyan nila ako ng milk. Okay? So I trust them. Okay? Then for mistrust, upon growing up, distrusting the caregivers, fearing the world, and unsure that the needs will be not met. Next is we have the anal stage, the toddlerhood, and early childhood. Erogenous zone, bowel, and bladder control. Among the stages of Freud's development, they say that this is the most crucial part of development kasi dito na natitrain yung toilet training. Learning to control the body's needs and the wants. Because sometimes, some toddlers nagpipigil silang mag-poop while others are, sige lang, go with the flow. Okay, so this control leads to a sense of accomplishment and independence. Kaya nga sometimes, caregivers praise their toddlers or their baby kapag they go potty training or they sit down on their potty. All right? And then if they poop, they have this sense of accomplishment na, yes, natuwa si mama. All right? So we can have rewards, yun, praising. So positive experiences, di ba? Productive and being creative that they learn how to be independent in terms of controlling their bladder. Okay? If the parent is too lenient, magkakaroon tayo ng explosive personality, messy, wasteful, or destructive personality. When we say too lenient, okay lang yan. Kahit dyan lang siya sa floor, kahit dyan lang siya sa baba ng bowl, okay lang yan, kahit dyan na lang siya mag-poop. But in some provinces po kasi, nung pinapalaki sila ng kanilang mga nanay at tatay, okay lang kahit sa backyard sila mag-poop kasi tatabunan na lang ng lupa at mas madaling hugasan yung puwet nila. But sometimes we can see on the latter part of growing up as an adult, medyo messy or wasteful yung bata. Alam niyo yung range ng anger niya is hindi niya makontrol. Sobrang expulsive ng kanyang mga emotions. Okay? How about too strict or too early caregivers? We have stringent, orderly, rigid, and obsessive. When we say too strict, ito yung kinokontrol nila yung pag-poop ng baby. So, walang control yung baby doon or yung toddler doon. Ang may control is yung caregiver. Kaya, nagiging obsessive yung bata dun sa poop niya. Okay? On the latter part, when he or she grow up, ganun din yung mangyari. He or she is too obsessive on his or her needs or his or own materials. Okay, for Eric Erickson, we have autonomy versus shame and doubt. And the virtue is will or the willingness to initiate. Okay? Can I do things myself or am I reliant on the help of others? So there you go. Dependent and independency will always play a major role in the child's development that will result into your adolescence and early adulthood development. Okay? Kaya sobrang important of toilet training sa mga bata kasi doon papasok yung sense of control nila towards their own decisions, towards their own body. Next is we have the phallic stage, which is the early childhood. We have 3 to 6. So the erogenous zone here is the genital. So they become curious of their body parts na bakit may ganito ako eh si mama wala naman. Tapos parehas kami ni papa. So what's the difference? Okay? And then also in terms of affection, they believe that their father is their rival in terms of their mother's affection. Kaya nga sometimes if you will try to play a game sa mga kids, they prefer to be with their opposite sex. Like for example, baby boy to their mother, baby girl to their father. So Freud identified this one as Oedipus complex for baby boy towards their mother's affection and Electra complex for baby girl or girl towards their father. Okay, it describes the feeling of wanting to possess the mother and the desire to replace the father. So this is according to the Greek mythology, which is Oedipus, na fell in love siya sa mother niya, and then he tried to kill his father. But he doesn't know na mother niya pala yung na fell in love niya, and he doesn't know na father niya pala yung pinatay niya. So we can see here the affection between the son and the mother. Okay? So, however, the child also fears that he will be punished by the father for this feeling. So, meron pa rin fear kasi nga mas malaki si Papa. So, I have this fear na kapag pinagpatuloy ko to, affection ko kay mama ko is magagalit siya. So, Freud termed this one castration anxiety. So, when we say castration anxiety, this is where puputulin yung penis niya. Kakastrate siya because nagkaroon siya ng affection sa mother niya. Okay, for Eric Erickson, we have the initiative versus the guilt feeling or the basic virtue of having a purpose in life. So, purpose. Am I good or bad? What is my purpose? Okay, so we have important events like exploration. So a baby or a toddler can explore different body parts as well as different activities through play. Okay, so they become assertive and controlling, overpowering towards what they want by identifying if it is good or if it is bad. Okay, so ito na mag-i-start yung critical thinking nila kung ano or who weighs more. My wants, kung bigla ko na lang ba gagawin yun, or my guilt kasi bigla nila akong papagalitan. Like for example, may initiative yung batang maghugas ng pinggan. But at the back of his head, baka mapagalitan siya kasi baka mabasag niya yung pinggan. Okay, so initiative versus guilt. Next stage, we have latency, which is middle childhood, 7 to 11. The erogenous zone is we have none because sexual feelings are inactive. So let's go back to the phallic. So we have here the genitals. So they have explore their sexual organs, and kapag kinikiliti mo sila minsan, mas maharot pa sila at saka gustong-gusto nila. Yung giggle nila is napakalandi. Parang ganun, di ba? While here in the middle childhood, those feelings of be exploring their sexual organs or yung giggling when you tickle their sexual organs or their body parts are inactive because they are more on skills, plays, activities. So they dwell their time, their energy through the different school activities or other activities which later on will result into their socialization. Here in Eric Erickson, we have industry versus inferiority. And the basic virtue is competence. Major question, how can I be good? That's why in this stage, they prioritize on developing their skills. So kung magaling sila kumanta, they will dwell on singing club. Or sa arts, they will dwell on arts club, like drawing and such. So they try to be or to maximize their skills into something good. So their world actually expands, okay? Because they want to research some skills that will be good to their skills. So there, puro interactions, developing sense of pride when they accomplish something. Like for example, in the sports club, so if you have accomplished a medal, super proud, and then their ego boost, right? Next stage is we have adolescents, 12 to 19 years old. So, dito papasok yung puppy love or the maturing sexual interest is the erogenous zone. So, kung sa latency stage is more on the exploration of what you want to do, and you're able to group with people who are in the opposite sex. Dito naman sa adolescence, you group with the opposite sex, but sometimes crushes, love, or sexual interest is emerging na rin. So, balancing of various life areas. Kaya we are confused of our roles and responsibilities because we have school, we have family, we have extracurricular activities, and sometimes we have love affairs. So for this one, we have Eric Erickson's in identity versus confusion, and fidelity is our basic virtue. Major question is, who am I? Who am I in front of my family? Who am I in front of my friends? That's why social relationship is very important in this part of life. Okay? Because in socializing, you will identify who you are through different group of people. So you can consider yourself very madaldal in terms of your friends, pero sa bahay, you are super quiet. Okay? What is this fidelity? No, bakit merong fidelity dito sa agenda or dito sa stage na to? So when we say infidelity, ito yung faithfulness mo if you were going to a relationship, because some relationship is infidelity, right? Na they place their partner to another partner and then another partner as well. So as you grow older, as you mature, pwede mo ma-carry out yun until adulthood. Unlike when you practice fidelity to your partner, right? So you will have the sense and have the what do you call this one? The practice of being faithful and loyal to that person. Okay, so for the other stages of Eric Erickson, continuous pa din. Pero in terms of Freud's development, dito na siya natatapos sa genital stage. Okay, so as you grow older, mag yung development mo is stagnant na. So it's according to Freud na it's from infancy to adolescence lang po yung major crucial roles, and that will be later on be seen through your adulthood. Okay? So pag hindi mo na-meet yung mga pleasure principle mo under erogenous zone, late yung development mo sa adulthood. So magkakaroon ka ng mga fixations, like sa infancy, we have biting of nails. Sa anal, we have expulsive personality for toddlers and the others. Okay, so going back to Erik Erikson's theory, the next is we have intimacy versus isolation. So for this one, dito papasok yung young adult. The virtue is love. So, will I be loved or will I be alone? So dito papasok yung crisis na single na lang ba ako forever or hindi? Kailan ba siya darating? So romantic relationship. So we have intimacy, strong deep romantic relationship, close relationship, and strong social support network. While for isolation, poor romantic relationship, deep intimacy, loneliness, and isolation. Um, this stage of development, according to Erik Erikson, is based on how you will socialize to other people. Because sometimes you don't want to look for a partner, that's why you isolate yourself. Diba? So you don't want to look for intimacy because you are not yet ready. Next is we have middle adulthood, generativity, and stagnation. The virtue is care. So we have parenthood and work. How can I contribute to the world? How can I balance parenthood and work? Dito papasok yung question na anong silbi ko sa universe? Anong pwede kong iambag sa world? Right? If you cannot answer those questions, lagi ka na lang mag-overthink na ano bang kulang, right? Ano bang pwede ko pang gawin para magkaroon ako ng ambag sa mundo? Okay? But if you are towards your children, that's it. You will develop care towards your child. So meron kang generativity. Unlike stagnation na you are stuck with the question, how can I contribute to the world? Next is we have, I think, yes, this is the last stage for Erik Erikson. So integrity versus despair. The basic virtue is the wisdom, okay? It's like reflecting back on your old life. Question, did I live a meaningful life? So you try to reflect back on your own life. So you will have integrity, no, if you feel proud of your accomplishments, of what you have done, of what you have given to your kids, to other people, and such. While despair, looking back na, well, akong nagawa, I have done this one and this one and that one. So you reflect back on your life through regrets. So this is for I think, let's go back to Erik Erikson's table. There. This is for late adulthood, 65 and above. And for you, BSND, you are under this stage. I think adolescence, where you are having identity versus confusion. So you have confusion towards your identity and finding the virtue of what is the meaning of love. How will I feel love? And for those other students, you are under early adulthood, which you are looking for intimacy or isolation because you are not yet ready, and developing loyalty and faithfulness towards your future partner or your partner right now. So that's it for our psychosocial development. Now let's see your answers from the last activity, wherein you will try to analyze and look for the situational example under Freud's psychodynamic development. Let's start with infancy. So yes, mouth-oriented for thumb sucking and biting. Babbling, feeding, and biting are also activities that exercises the erogenous zone. Okay? And always the mouth is a sign for hungry. No? Kaya po, minsan makikita natin sila na they are biting their toys, they are sucking their toys. Okay, and then crying for a bottle of milk. Yes, sucking his fingers, especially when sleeping. If you try to observe babies, no, nagtatamsak sila while sleeping. So, better to not exercise or dwell in that kind of activity kasi masasanay po sila and then they will look for their thumb always to para makatulog, 'di ba? O kaya yung mga pacifiers and such, they will be dependent on such things. Overeating is a fixation when you are not correctly, properly wean. Okay? Organ of pleasure is the mouth, correct? Libido is also called erogenous zone. Yes, is centered in the baby's mouth. And yes, it's the id's demand. So remember, the id's demand is for pleasure, for hunger, for thirst, and sort of like that. Okay, then here, breast feeding, biting, swallowing small things. Next is we have toddler. We have there defecating and peeing, especially in the bed. No? Kapag nag-i-start na siyang mag-toilet train, syempre hindi naman ganun kasimpleng mag-toilet train. Right? So, iihi at iihi pa rin sila sa kama. I remember a kid, no, hanggang 7 years old, hindi niya makontrol yung bladder niya, no. Lagi pa rin siyang umiihi sa kama. At the same time, paglaki niya, napaka-impulsive niya towards her emotions, napaka-iyakin, di ba? So there is your manifestation of Freud's development. Calling the attention of her mother right away when tapos na mag-defecate is a sign of independency. Diba? Alam niya kapag napupupo na siya at alam niya rin kapag hindi pa siya napupupo. Kaya as a caregiver, be worry about the facial expression of the toddler kapag malapit na siya mag-defecate. Because sometimes mababasa naman natin yun eh. Yung mukha niya, paano ba, irritable, pinagpapawisan, makikita mong nanahimik sa sulok. Kaya nga sabi nila, too quiet. Too quiet is dangerous for a kid. Diba? Kasi may ginawa na yan. Toilet training, withholding or expelling feces, yun yung sinasabi natin kaninang too lenient or too strict. There, pleasure, accomplishment, and independence. Self-control in terms of cleanliness and orderliness kapag nagawa niya po ng maayos ang kanyang toilet training. Neatness, poops, and peace anywhere is a sign of a caregiver who is very lenient, no? And hindi siya pinapagalitan, like hinahayaan lang siya. That will result, according to Freud, into expulsiveness of personality. Now let's go to early childhood stage. So phallic, no? Or what we call, yes, phallic stage. So the little boy then sets out to resolve his problem by imitating a masculine dad type behaviors. When it comes to girls, they identify with their mother. An example of a dad type behavior is, do you know yung chichiryang Shanghai, di ba? You eat it like smoking a cigarette, di ba? Ganun yung ginagawa ng mga bata. Imitating a masculine dad type behavior. Yung paglakad, sigang maglakad. And ano pa ba? Like saying, taglines, call signs. So, ini-imitate nila yon. For females, they try to wear their mother's clothes or their mother's shoes. Okay? Jealousy is very evident, very aware, and very exploratory towards their anatomical sex. Okay? And then here we have genders in terms of their toys. But sometimes because of gender equality, almost parang wala nang differences ang toys ng boys and girls, no? Ang na-emphasize na lang minsan is kapag lalaki talagang bawal daw maglaro ng Barbies. And then pag girls, parang okay lang maglaro ng toy cars. 'Di ba? So, what's the difference if they will play different toys? So, to identify their gender role towards the society. And then here we have the desire to opposite sex, like baby boy attracted to mother, baby girl attracted to father. Pero in terms of the desire, more on their caregivers pa lang. Wala pa silang desire towards the other person kasi meron pa silang feeling or the sense of stranger danger. And then here we have sensitivity in terms of the genitals, no? Over ambition to overcome his father or his mother's affection. Right then, yes, here jealousy, and more on the love for the caregivers. Next is we have middle childhood, 7 to 11, the latency stage. Okay, so repressed, nag-settle down yung ating mga sexual energies because we have school, work, basketball, interaction, we have the internet, we have the mobile legends, and so on and so forth. So we try to develop new skills and acquire new knowledge like sports, arts, theater, drama, or just be with yourself, or watching series, watching animes, and so on and so forth. So the libido here is dormant. So children of the same gender, okay? So they try to confine to children with the same gender, and then little by little towards the opposite sex, okay? So that they can identify themselves na, okay, this is the role of the boys, this is the role of the girls. And there. Next or last stage in Freud's development, we have the adolescence, 12 to 19. So we have here sexual experimentation, loving one-to-one relationship, the interest, and then puberty changes, attraction to, to the opposite sex, personality development like confusion, who I am, what are my roles, and so on and so forth. The hormone levels are rising, like especially in terms of hunger, lagi kang gutom. You can sleep up to 8 hours a day and after that, naantok ka pa rin. Diba? A boy started to have feelings for a girl or a girl started to have feelings with a boy. Okay? Admiration, and so on and so forth. So because of the rising level of hormones, tumataas yung level of feelings natin. And at the same time, yung emotions natin. Kaya medyo irritable tayo, medyo anxious tayo, mataas yung anxiety natin, tapos super daldal natin when it comes to our friends. And at the same time, we are like a time bomb. So yung mga adolescents, parang time bomb na any moment or anytime bigla na lang magpa-pop up ang emotions nila because of the rising level of hormones. Okay, so that's it for your Freud's psychodynamic development situational example. Next is we have your examples in terms of Erik Erikson psychodynamic development. Now we have infancy. So we have highlighted the word coos. What are these? So ito yung mga babbling sounds ng babies when they are calling out their caregivers. So if you respond to their coos, ibig sabihin nun, okay, I have trust in this caregiver of mine kasi bigla-bigla na lang siya lalapit. Pero pag hindi ka lumapit sa kanya, mistrust can be developed. Okay? So, this one, memorizing their voice, touch, and body. Yes, the baby always memorize your smell, your touch, and your voice. Kaya sometimes when you called out their names, bigla-bigla na lang yan pupunta sa'yo. Scaring or playing a trick, of course, can develop mistrust in terms of a baby. So, kung niloloko mo siya, ayaw niya nang sumama sa'yo. Like, for example, in terms of eto na lang, watching Cocomelon. Bigla-bigla mo na lang ipaparinig sa kanya yung intro ng Cocomelon, tapos biglang papatay mo na yung phone mo. So that's a trait, and mistrust can be developed in that certain area of a baby. Attention and care is a must. Crying is a sign for their basic needs. Like, if I cried loudly, papansinin niya ba ako? So if you go directly to the baby, trust will be developed. Okay? Especially when sleeping. Kasi sometimes yung mga babies are nagkakaroon sila ng dreams na inaaway sila and so on and so forth. So, if the baby is crying, hug nyo lang sila or yakapin nyo sila para naman you can develop their trust to one another, to you as well. Okay? Loving, trusting relationship and taking care. So overall, so in terms of infancy, more on caring lang po talaga ang kanilang kailangan gawin so that they can develop trust toward their caregivers and avoid mistrusting the world around them. Next is we have toddlerhood, autonomy versus shame, control versus doubting themselves. Okay, like for example, picking their own clothes. Okay, they have the independent sign of picking their clothes, not shaming what they want or what they want to wear, what they want to eat, and so on and so forth. Okay, not doubting themselves what to do. So they try to believe on their capabilities on what they can achieve through. So for toddler, curiosity is also, what do you call that? Evident since he has this independency of teaching and growing by himself. Unlike when developed shame, shyness will also be developed. Next is we have early childhood. Interaction, freedom, and encouragement leads to initiative of his or her actions. For example, in terms of school settings, because preschool starts at this stage of life, okay? And then we have the guilt kasi pinapagalitan siya noon, kaya nagkakaroon siya ng guilt feeling, hindi na siya magkakaroon ng initiative. Or for example, sa preschool setting, the his or her classmates are laughing at him for saying twinkle twinkle little star with an accent, 'di ba po? So magkakaroon siya ng guilt feeling na bakit tinaas ko pa kasi yung kamay ko. Okay? So there. Next is we have industry versus inferiority. We have support and encouragement. Inferiority meaning in social and emotional encouragement. In terms of encouragement, we have the positive reinforcement under behavioral perspective. So this one can go hand in hand. Support and guidance, appreciation, restriction. Okay. So in terms of industry versus inferiority, we have the basic concept of this one will fall under reinforcement on how you have compliment or praise your kid. Because if you do not praise or give importance to your kid's achievement, he or she will feel inferior to his or her other peers. So, mali left out siya even though diretso naman po yung development niya towards the subject or the lesson. Next is we have adolescence, identity versus confusion, So teenager confuses and learn to understand, and it will identify and develop. So you are actually confused on your role as a kid or as an adolescent because you are stuck between being a child and then being an adult already. So which do you prefer, having time with your family or having time with your friends? There, um, the question, who am I, is really confusing in this stage since you have different social groups. Okay, then social interactions and relationships very much is applicable to this kind of stage. Imagine a rubber band, no? So as you stretch that rubber band, that is how you stretch your social group as well. Next is we have early adulthood, intimacy versus isolation. Magiging single na lang ba ako forever? Dito na lang ba ako sa bahay always? Am I being left alone or am I ready to commit? Yung mga batchmates ko may asawa na, ako wala pa. So, where do you stand? Do you stand on being intimate to another person or to isolate yourself? And we have here middle adulthood, okay? Generativity versus stagnation, the feeling of what have I accomplished, okay? Ano ang pwede kong may ambag sa mundong ito? Okay? Feeling unproductive and uninvolved will lead you to stagnation. Okay? Feels of successfulness will lead you to generativity of growing. Investing their money, yes, that is a sign of generativity. Striving to nurture things that will outlast someone or something is a generativity. And this stage is also called midlife crisis. Okay, knowing ano pa ba ang dapat kong gawin. Yung mga oras ko malapit nang matapos. Okay, there. And last is we have integrity versus despair. This is more on the reflection on how you will face the end of the life. Will you face the end of your life bitterful, full of regrets, or with a peace of mind? Recollection of thoughts, okay, and having someone to chika with, like your apos na ganito kami noon, naglalaro lang kami lagi sa labas, mga ganun and so forth, diba? Are you ready to have terminal illness? Are you ready to face what will happen next? So this is in terms of integrity, if you accept what will happen. But if not, you are in despair. So that's it for our psychodynamic perspective for Sigmund Freud and Eric Erikson.